You're gonna be at 9 o'clock. Do you not? It won't be that bad. Second reading, second reading, so it'll be a few comments. I don't think.
I never really thought
Uh, update from,
so it provides privacy. It really sounds inside, but still it doesn't obscure the
which part?
Oh,
I just thought I'd tell you.
okay, thank you. I remember.
Oh,
I
they're
don't
gonna address that in
remember
here?
everything that
Okay.
was involved. I just remember it was a considered decision.
That's fine.
How to manage that issue. The light,
That's
the
perfect.
sun
No, that's
will
not gonna
boil
take you
you
long.
alive.
In the morning.
So that's why we have the shades.
Well, I didn't even notice the shade. I've noticed the way the windows are done. You know, the painting is.
They're banging that hammer.
I am.
You know, you've got that stripe.
No, video. No, there's a video. I know it's heartbreak, old habits.
Welcome to Ozark City Hall. We're glad you're here for the Board of Aldermen meeting and engaging with your elected officials. Listening to perspectives of city residents, business owners, and other community members helps our elected leaders make more informed decisions. Before the meeting begins, let's review our rules of order. These ensure the meeting is orderly and efficient while allowing everyone who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. There are two opportunities for you to speak during the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion of the meeting and during public discussion of new bills and resolutions. During the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion, anyone who signed up at the city clerk's office before 5 p.m. the Wednesday before the meeting can speak to aldermen about the topic they specified. Now, in the public discussion of new bills and resolutions, that allows you to give comments for aldermen to consider before they make a decision. Anytime anyone is speaking, the following rules apply. First, only one person should speak at a time. Please be respectful of the person speaking and hold your comments until it's your turn. Second, anyone speaking must do so from the podium and speak into the microphone. Third, you must first provide your name and address in writing to the city clerk before beginning your comments. These forms are provided near the entrance. You also must state your name and address to the Board of Aldermen using the podium microphone. Fourth, all comments should be addressed to the mayor and aldermen. Finally, all speakers have 5 minutes to make their comments. The mayor or alderman may have additional questions for speakers after their 5-minute time limit. Occasionally, the board will invite someone to make a presentation at the meeting. This is only to give information to the board about a specific topic. These presenters will have no time limit on giving their information. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded with video and audio unless there are technical difficulties. The use of cell phones or other devices is discouraged during the meeting. Please silence your phones right now. Again, thank you for being here and engaging with the City of Ozark. The meeting will begin shortly.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Campbell,
Here.
Alderman Galloway,
Here.
Alderman Hutchinson,
Here.
Alderman Metcalf,
Here.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
We have 5 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Okay, next we'll go to the approval of our minutes from previous meetings, and we have several of those. But first, we'll start with May 16th, 2024, our breakfast session. Any questions regarding these minutes from the alderman? I'm not seeing any. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt A, B, C, and D.
Oh, I was doing one. Can we do all at once?
Okay. Move to adopt A.
Okay, is there a second to adopt A?
Second.
Okay, I think Hutchinson. Okay, the motion is May 16th, 2024. Motion was by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor on the motion to approve May 16th, do so by show of hands. And one is abstaining because he cannot be here. Okay, question, can we do the other as a group or are you supposed to do them separately?
You can do them either way.
Okay, is there objection to them as a group? Okay, okay. Any question regarding the next three sets of minutes? As for any questions, any corrections that needs to be made? And the May 20th regular session, May 21st special closed session, and May 22nd, the special closed session. Any corrections or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to adopt BCD.
Okay, and seconded by,
Second.
okay. Y'all, good timing. Okay, the motion was that we adopt the May 20th, 21st, 22nd minutes. The motion was made by Alderman Galloway and seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor, do so approve of these minutes, do so by show of hands. And it does carry. Thank you. We have no summarial matters tonight, but we do have scheduled guests. And this is Historic River District who wants to give an update for us. I'm very glad to have the ladies here tonight.
Good evening. I'm Ashley Hawkins. I am the Vice President of Historic River District, and with me is Jillian Johnson, our President. So for those of you that may not be aware, Historic River District is a revitalization organization, and we are focused on preservation-based economic development. And our mission would not be successful without the support of our city leaders, our community partners, specifically Mayor John Currents, Cameron Smith, Jeremy Parsons attend our monthly board meetings regularly, which is amazing. Also, Alderman Galloway, who is a member of our Economic Vitality Committee, and Alderwoman Jean Ann Hutchison, who is a leader in our organization committee. And we couldn't do this without your support, so thank you. We're also grateful for Ben and Maria, our communications department this month. They partnered with us for historic preservation awareness. It was really fun to engage the community in HP awareness. We had a lot of great feedback, and we hope to continue that in the future. So thank you. Jillian has some real updates for you. We just wanted to express our gratitude, so thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Again, I'm Jillian Johnson, president of the Historic River District. So last month, a resolution endorsing the Historic River District's annual contract with the state's Missouri Main Street connection was approved. That contract guarantees good standing as Missouri Main Street organization, accountability for the HRD, and continued educational opportunities. It also provides grant opportunities. So with that being said, we would like to announce because of the good standing, the Missouri Main Street Connection announced that the Paul Bruin Foundation awarded $34,000 to John and Lisa Lane for their building improvements for Venue on Brick. So out of 99 entries, 13 were chosen, and one of our building owners were chosen. It's pretty awesome. And so if you could refer to the screen, this is one of our grant entries as well. We were awarded $4,000 for a light pole banner project through the Finley River Community Foundation. So I just wanted to offer a visual of where our placement will be of each banner. These are new images that we've been recently working with. So if you want to go, this is Jackson Street crossing the bridge. So you'll see existing poles that are placed right now with the older image, but this is our new direction. So if you don't, thank you. This is downtown. There's a lot, but our goal is to have the 4 points with a bigger banner, the 24 by 40, and the remaining light poles downtown with the revised historic look. And it now says National Historic District because we are registered under the National Historic Industry. So, and then this is a little bit more of a bigger image. And here are all of the 5. So notice number 1, first image on the left is our dark sky concept. And then the rest of the 4 will be downtown. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Galloway.
Sorry, I left this on. This very nice, these different, what do you call them? Not logos, what would they be?
We're calling them images.
Well, that
Logos,
that's
same thing.
descriptive.
Yeah,
I
same
guess.
thing.
I'm looking at, but it looks like you have a image for each kind of activity, kayaking, fishing, bicycling, looking at the stars with our dark sky ordinance, and then
Dog friendly.
and hiking. That's what that is. Yeah, I can tell. That's obvious. Anyway, nice job. It looks. Are we going to see those in the different areas to highlight the different uses?
Yes, if you don't mind to back up a few more slides, just to kind of review the placement. This is the downtown layout. The banners have been ordered. They should be here in a few weeks. Trying to think of all of that. If you don't mind to go one more ahead of that. And this is just entering into our new boundary area. So each displaying the activities. Kind of a wow factor curb appeal.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, very much. Okay. At this point, we'll go to our first readings and resolution. And of course, this is going to be open for public discussion. But our first bill is Bill number 3561.
I move to place Bill.
Yeah.
I move to place Bill 3561 on its first reading by title and description only.
Okay, and seconded by, okay. The motion is to place bill number 3561 on by title and description only. The motion was made by Alderman Hutcherson, seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on this motion to discuss bill number 3561, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance awarding a contract to and authorizing the city to enter into a contract with A2D Constructors LLC for construction services.
Okay, I believe we're going to have our Chief Arnold come and discuss this contract with us.
So the bill in front of you is for a remodel of a portion of the police department. If I take you back a few years, we went into the Brick Street remodel in a three-phase plan. The first phase was planning and zoning, which also included a locker room with showers, extra bathrooms, stuff like that for the police department. Phase two was the law office, the law department moving over to City Hall, vacating their space, which is in front of where my criminal investigations unit sits. And now we're at phase three, which is the remodel of the current or the former law department area. And then also part of that is allowing us access to those bathrooms, showers, locker rooms that have been behind a wall for quite a while now. This remodel is going to allow us a couple more office spaces than we currently have. But one of the biggest things is it's going to give us some multi-use space to where we can put cubicles and things of that nature for our officers and staff to have dedicated places to work. We don't have a lot of that space right now. So that's what that's going to be for. Also, a couple interview and interrogation rooms that we badly need are also going to come out of this. We put this out to bid after going through some work with our architect, Cochran. We put it out for bid, and the bid opening was on May 16th. Our budget amount at the time was $400,000. That was based on an architect's estimate last year in October that we received. But on May 16th, we opened the bids. We received 4 responsive bids as shown in the bid tab that's in your packet. The lowest responsible bid was from A2D Constructors at $407,338. So that is a little bit over what our projected costs were. So also included was a budget amendment request for $30,000 to that line item. And a couple things about that. We've already expended about $17,000 on design fees and stuff like that with our architect. And so that just gave us a little bit of cushion to be able to work through this project and not have to come back to you all and ask for a little bit more money. This is something that's been on the table for us for about 3 years. We've been looking at that, so we're excited to get some more room for our 46 employees that are crammed into the space they are now. Also included this, I did want to bring to your attention, there's also a $40,000 horse account that is included in this bid. And if I say it wrong, Amanda, or Ms. Calloway, you can correct me, but my understanding is what that's for is it's a $40,000 or 10% of the estimated project, which allows staff and the general contractor to work through small changes that may arise. We may run into something that was unforeseen, and instead of waiting for 2 weeks or however long it is before we bring it back to you all, that force account just allows us to work on that professional level of staff and contractor through those, and not to exceed that $40,000. Did I adequately describe how that works in very common terms? Okay, so again, staff supports this. We've budgeted for it. We've been talking about it for a long time, and I badly need this 2,000 square feet addition to give my people a little bit of area to breathe. So,
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Alderman Snyder, sir.
Chief, you know I support anything that has to do with law enforcement. That's no secret up here. And I do know that you're pressed for space. You need it because you guys live in a cave. That's no other way to put it. But in that cave, can you tell me how much money has been spent since 2015, just as a ballpark, for every amendment and adjustment that's been made to that 50-year-old building?
yeah, so I look back, and we have spent over $800,000 on that building since 2015.
Okay, and this is obviously not going to be the final scenario you need for space, is that correct?
No, I mean, this will help alleviate some of our stress from being so compact and everything. It truly will, and the sanitary upgrades of police officers having the ability to take a shower after they encounter some of the things that we do on the street. Those are things that are long overdue, but it's still a Band-Aid on a much harsher issue. Of
A hemorrhage.
space. That would probably be a fairly accurate way to describe it, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Alderman Galloway.
Yeah, when I was in your police academy, it looked more like a rabbit warren than anything else. It's some confusing maze inside that building.
But very clean and very organized.
Yes.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
It was not for, if it wasn't for your organization keeping that place sane, I don't know how that would work. So it's going to improve with the $400,000 expenditure. I'm just trying to think back. I think we had gone to the public with a request to support a new police headquarters that along the lines of what Nixa will be building, which is a professional space with true community center and a place for officers to really do their work and far more sanitary or more provisions for sanitary rooms, bathrooms, locker showers. I can't remember what that kind of building was going to cost. What was that?
So you're right. We've been in front of the citizens of Ozark with ballot propositions a couple times now to support this. The last was in November of 2022 for a use tax. At the time, working with our architect, our needs assessment revealed that we needed somewhere in the ballpark of about 22,000 square feet is what they estimated, 22 to 24,000. At the time, they were anticipating about $400 to $500 per square foot. You do the math, you're somewhere around $11-12 million is what they called for. But again, for a needs assessment for our department and what the forecast of growth looks like over the next 20 years, not only for our department, but the community around and the services that the community demands, not even requires, but demands, that needs assessment revealed that we probably needed somewhere between 22 and 24,000 square feet to continue to provide the services at the level that our citizens are accustomed to.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
I have a clarification.
Yes, sir.
Since 2015, 800,000. Is that for all the brick building or just the PD section?
It's just the PD.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board for our chief?
And one clarification, that would include the roof, which was everywhere, but still, it's just the budgeted funds and the funds expended that come under my purview as your police chief.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I had heard how bad the police station was, but had only been to your office before this week. And I wasn't there because I was being arrested or anything. But, and I was going to say it was like a rat's maze, but I like his rabbit burrow idea better. But it was amazing how much space is wasted just in corridors over there. And refiguring it, I can understand why that's absolutely necessary. And planning ahead to do multi-use space is a great idea as well. What amazes me is that it didn't come in higher because I think you'd said about 400,000 and that was in 20.
That was in 2023, so that's when we received our architect's estimate about 7 months ago.
Okay, so you look at inflation, and I was just watching a show on why it costs so much to build, and just the cost of everything has gone up. So I think this is a really good bid, looks like.
We agree.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Since this is the first reading, at this time, we'll open up now to the public and anyone who are in favor of bill number 3561 may not this time come and speak. Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Anyone here who is opposed to bill number 3561, this is your opportunity to come to the mic. I'm not seeing movement, so therefore I'm going to close this time the public session of this bill. And any final comments from the board? Okay. Not seeing any, therefore we'll hold this over to our next bill number 3561 to a future meeting. We're now going to move on to bill number 3562.
Your Honor, I'd like to place bill number 3562 on its first reading by title and description only, please.
Okay, is there a second to this?
Second.
Thank you. So we're going to place bill number 3562 on its first reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Snyder. It was seconded by Alderman Hutcherson. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill number 3562, do so by show of hands. Okay, and it carries.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Leak Investigators LLC for repair services.
Okay. And I believe our interim director, Hayden Ponce, will be here to speak on this.
Good evening. So this contract that you see before you this evening is to repair the leaks in the OC pool. You guys may recall this past winter, we made you aware of leaks in our OC pool. Those leaks were identified by Leak Investigators LLC in both our lap and rec pool. Our maintenance team was able to work with them to put a temporary plug in those leaks so they're not losing a large amount of water as the summer season goes on. However, it is something that we want to patch and repair because it does, if those plugs, for example, get pulled by kids in the pool, we do start to lose water again. We did receive 2 bids for those leak repair services. One was from Leak Investigators LLC, which was the lowest bid, and also had the greatest experience in repairing leaks of this nature. The other one came in higher, and they had no experience with frankly, pools of any kind, much less a municipal pool of our size. And so we would like to enter into a contract with Leak Investigators LLC. They could not be here this evening to answer any questions, but I'm glad to field any questions that I can answer. Otherwise, I will have that answer for you before our second read.
Okay. Yes, sir, Alderman Snyder.
You will be able to get this repaired, I believe, in late fall. Is that correct?
Could you repeat?
We're going to maybe address this and get it repaired in the late fall.
Yes, so in talking with Leak Investigators, as well as looking at another project that we have for the pool, this fall we would like to replace some of the lighting. That's a budgeted expense in the OC pool to increase brightness in that facility and address some corrosion issues as well. To shut down the pool is a big undertaking, so if we can effectively kill 2 birds with 1 stone, replace the lighting as well as repair the leaks at the same time, that's what works best. For our schedule, December is ideal. There's not a lot of swim lessons going on during that time. It's a low time during the pool season. And then for these guys, it's best because currently they're going around the Southwest Missouri region. I believe this specific part of Leak Investigators services Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, repairing residential and commercial pools around the region. So everyone is happy with the month of November, December for a repair.
Gotcha. And we're still looking at a 4 to 6 week time frame. Is that correct?
So that time frame is based more around the light replacement because that's going to be a larger thing. But yes, we would be looking at a 4 to 6 week shutdown for the pool as a conservative estimate.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you, sir. Not seeing. Thank you, sir. This is the first reading. So at this time, we'll open to the public. Anyone here who is in favor of bill number 3562, this is your opportunity. Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Therefore, if anyone's opposed to bill number 3562, this is your opportunity to come to the mic and address the board. Okay, I'm not seeing movement, so I'm going to close the public discussion at this time. Any last response from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Therefore, bill number 3562 will be held over for a future meeting. We're now going to move on to bill number 3563.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3563 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, the motion is to replace bill number 3563 by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, is second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3563, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri approving 3 reappointments to the Highway J and 17th Street Community Improvement District Board of Directors.
Okay, and I believe our interim city administrator is going to speak on this? Or is it going to be our city attorney? I'm sorry.
The CID essentially needs replacement directors. They've requested that we appoint them, which is our obligation according to state law. They've asked that it be done by ordinance instead of resolution. So we told them they have to wait 2 meetings. So they had nothing controversial or untoward about this. It's just people that need their terms renewed.
Right. Any questions from the board? Okay, not seeing any. Again, this is the first reading, so anyone here from the public wish to speak in favor of bill number 3563, this is your opportunity. Okay. Anyone here who's opposed to bill 3563, this is your time to come. I am not seeing any movement, so therefore I'm going to close this time for public discussion. And one more, again, from the board, any questions? I don't want to rush anyone. I'm not seeing anything. Therefore, this bill 3563 will be held for a future meeting. Okay, now we are moving to our second readings. And of course, for second readings, it's board discussion only. There will be no time for public discussion unless someone's been asked to come. But the first bill is going to be bill number 3557.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we, Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3557 on its second reading by title only.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is to replace bill number 3557 on second reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor on the motion to discuss bill 3557, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property, approximately 6.45 acres in size, abutted by East Hartley Road to the north.
Okay, Director Cameron.
Yes, good evening. At the last meeting, there were some questions from the alderman in regards to the traffic collection at the time of appropriate for traffic study. So I reached out to Toth and Associates, the engineer that represents Ozark Special Road District, who owns and maintains Hartley Road. 3 of the questions I asked them in regards to was the time frame of collection of data, impacts of the development to the existing road, and also projecting data when collected outside of a school, when school is in session. So Toth has reached back out. They answered those questions, and they are here this evening. I'd like to ask that they could come up to the podium and clarify some of the questions.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. My name is Derek Estelle with Toth and Associates, 1550 East Republic Road, Springfield, Missouri. I would just like to clarify that tonight we are not here representing Ozark Special Road District in an official capacity, just here to provide our professional opinion and expertise to be able to answer any questions that you guys might have. I sent an email, I believe, to most of you to try to address, I think, most of the questions that came up during the public hearing. So if there are any additional questions or anything that you guys might like me to elaborate on a little bit, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, Alderman Galloway?
I think I missed your email. Sometimes I can be really draconian when I hit delete. And I'm afraid I may have done that. And I hate to belabor it if other people have read the email, but I would just like a thumbnail sketch of what it was that you were communicating to us.
Absolutely. So I think probably the main question that was raised in the email, or the question I was looking to address and answer for you all, is if it is appropriate for a traffic study, or rather the counts for a traffic study to be conducted while school is in session, just generally speaking. Generally speaking, it's not a requirement for a traffic study to be conducted while school is in session. However, in this particular case, for this particular development, with it being immediately adjacent to a school, I don't think it's unreasonable to make that request of the developer. I think the big thing to understand is that, again, that is not necessarily an industry best practice to require the study to be conducted during while school is in session. But it's also not unreasonable to make that request as well. Ultimately, that's going to be a decision of the board or a city staff and their recommendations from their engineer on what they feel like is most appropriate. There are ways of estimating traffic based on, again, engineering best practices. There's the ITE trip generation handbook that can pretty adequately determine the amount of traffic that's generated by a school or any type of use for that matter. Schools are not an emerging use. They've been around for forever. So it's pretty easy. And plus, with the relationship that I feel like the city and a lot of the developer and even some of the engineers might have with the school district, it's just as simple to be able to make that request to the school district to ask for their traffic counts. And most of the time, they do have that information readily available.
In your response, did you say it was your recommendation that the traffic study be done when school's in session, or was not? I couldn't quite hear that.
It is, I would not, I guess I should clarify. I don't think it's unreasonable to request the traffic study to be conducted while school is in session. However, I don't think it should be, in our professional opinion, a requirement that either this traffic study or any traffic study for that matter be conducted while school is in session.
Okay, not unreasonable for us to ask. That's good. We like to be thinking that we're reasonable if we make requests. I'm just trying to decipher that. So I drove up and down that avenue or thoroughfare about 3 times today. And one thing I noticed was, I mean, that property could have been better placed to be opposite a school than this one. And the parking area, which is large, had 2 access points on the thoroughfare. So in one sense, it's kind of like a U, but I don't know how the traffic comes in and out or what those patterns are, which makes me wonder, if that ought not to be part of a study. But is there anything about the fact that this land is situated just exactly opposite a school that would make it better for us to ask, or is it neutral? When I say ask for a traffic study while school is in session.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off by saying, as far as the development itself goes, because we are not affiliated with the developer, We don't know the details of that development, exactly what the square footages of building or anything, or where the access points are going to be. So I won't necessarily be able to speak to that development specifically. But just generally speaking, in terms of just the placement of the development in relation to the school, I think that it is, how do I say this? That it would be appropriate to ask for the traffic counts to be conducted while school is in session, but not necessary. Again, there are ways that you can predict the traffic without school being in session, either through engineering best practices or simply by contacting the school district to get that information from them.
Okay. I think I understand appropriate, but not necessary. So optional in your mind,
I would say so, yes.
but justified if asked.
Yes.
If we have a law that allows us to ask would be the other one, but I know you're not here to tell us that. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You're familiar with that area, is that correct?
Somewhat familiar.
Well, just out of curiosity, in your professional opinion, because of the width of that roadway and because there are ditches on both sides and because there is an entrance and exit to that school and there is a speed limit of 25 miles an hour, wouldn't it be prudent to request a traffic study because of what is being proposed with multifamily and several single-family dwellings? I mean, I'm asking, wouldn't that be a prudent decision?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question about whether a traffic study should be required. No, I absolutely think a traffic study is appropriate and necessary for this type of development. Not necessarily just because it's next to a school, but just in general because of the amount of traffic that type of development is anticipated to generate.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else from the board has a question? Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. I, yes. Okay. Okay, he's wanting to speak, and so we asked for the traffic study, but this is a second reading. So, but we had asked him to be here tonight because we had so many questions about the traffic, how it's going to impact the development. So, yeah. So, okay. So, I'm sorry. I mean, this is the second reading. Okay. Yes, sir. You had your mic.
Yeah, thank you. I had a follow-up and I'm welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful trip. So I'm just going to throw this on you. But it's a follow-up to the comment that was made from the representative from Taupe. And, you heard his remarks. And my question is, in our ordinances, is there anything in those ordinances that would give staff the discretion to require a traffic study be done when school is in session? That's my first question.
I don't believe so, but not to defer to another individual, but I would look to our Director of Public Works, who's more familiar with that requirement, but I don't believe there's any language that would allow for that.
Ms. Callaway, or Mrs. Callaway, provided the appropriate answer there. We don't have anything that specifically calls out that must be, the school must be in session. As Mr. Estelle was kind of pointing towards, there's enough of an industry standard that they can basically project those volumes based upon the type of use and the size of the school.
My question is really just limited to, well, I said if it's lawful, so I'll just ask, is there some discretion by custom or by our ordinances or policy that, or any kind of precedent that has allowed a traffic study to be delayed until school is in session?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. What's the typical time frame once, well, maybe there isn't a typical time frame. Is there a typical time frame for a traffic study to be done in your experience, and what would be the starting point of that time frame?
I would say on average 4 to 8 weeks to collect the data and to analyze it and then produce the study. Would that be?
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Eddie. Excuse me, Alderman Campbell.
Just something that entered my mind when Alderman Galloway was speaking there. The people that are going to know the traffic issues when school's in session are going to be the bus drivers. And I think we have a close enough working relationship with the schools that we could maybe get a meeting with the bus drivers, and Alderman Snyder could probably get that set up for us. But I do think it'd be a good idea. But historical evidence may, like the gentleman from Toth Engineers was talking about, historical evidence is really more of a general average of what you can expect when this happens. With the fact that we don't have, people cannot get off that road from 14th Avenue to Sailor Avenue. So that to me makes this a little different than a lot of schools, maybe not all. Is there any reason why we could not request that Toth Engineers, whenever they have the traffic survey done, that they get with the school bus division of Ozark Schools?
These type of requests, it's not
So,
unusual.
just by way of clarification, Toth is OSRD's traffic engineer. They may or may not conduct the study. I don't know the applicant's traffic engineer. It would be up to them to select that. I think that, not to speak for him, but the gentleman from Toth indicated that the school district would likely be contacted by that traffic engineer when and if they perform that study and solicit information about the flow, backup, peak travel times, things like that, involving the school, assuming the study wasn't done while school was in session.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And I guess the only thing I should add is we're really discussing rezoning. We're not looking at preliminary plat things right now. So maybe a little ahead of ourselves, but I think it does enter into decisions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I just had comments. So if we're ready for that, I don't have to deliver them now. I don't have any questions. I just didn't know if anybody had other questions.
Any more questions from the board?
I do.
Yes, Alderman Campbell.
And let me pull it up here. I've got it. I actually wrote it down so I wouldn't stumble around too much. My question is regarding the Bill 3557. Due to the proximity of the property to East Elementary School, primarily traffic impact and safety concerns for the students, I've got two things I want to throw out there. Number one, can we limit the number of properties from, I think they're looking at 17 properties now. Can we limit that number of properties to 15 lots instead of 17? And then, of course, you'd have the common areas, the infrastructure, the streets, whatever. But in addition to that, I'd like to ask a question of the attorney is, how close, well, my concern is that if a lot of this property becomes rental property, and even if it doesn't, we still stand the risk of registered sex offenders, or not registered sex offenders as far as that goes, but registered sex offenders being allowed to live close to a school. So my question to our attorney is there a limit on how close this property can be to a school before we can restrict sex offenders from living there?
Okay.
It,
So I heard two questions. I'll answer your first question related to limiting the number of lots. I think this bill is only proposing the zoning, so any discussion of lots or the subdivision of the parcel would come with a later subdivision ordinance. So I don't believe that issue is ripe for discussion at this phase of the zoning matter. Your second question, if I can move to that one, the state law does have a limitation on registered sex offenders and where they can and cannot be and where they can habitate. And I don't believe that our laws really dictate that or get into that. So that would be further than what our laws allow us to really dictate. And again, we're just at the zoning phase. So we would, you would be happy to bring that back up at the subdivision phase, but I believe the answer would be the same.
Any other questions from the board? Yes, Alderman Snyder.
No, I know this is going to be discussion for later, just as you said, but it's something that'll have to be considered because I think there's if I'm not mistaken, a 500-foot loitering law, state law statute in place, and also a 1,000-foot for residency, if I'm not mistaken. So that may be something we want to, take a tight look at a little later on for further discussion.
Any other questions? I know we got some final comments, but yes,
Just a question about procedure. So if we wanted to do any kind of an overlay district, that would come now, though, with the rezoning, correct?
An overlay district is tied to like the setbacks or the buffer yards or reducing height. That ordinance has a list of, I can't remember the exact number, but like, let's say 7 factors that you can look at to amend the zoning. And it is usually proposed at the stage when you bring the zoning forward.
So if there were, you don't know if one of those would be the number of houses that could be built there, like Alderman Campbell was talking about?
I don't believe that's one of the factors. The factors that we looked at were related to, and if you're talking about density, would really be related to the height of a building next to a lower already existing building. But I don't believe that our conditional overlay takes into consideration like the number of lots that could be subdivided, because that would come at a later time with the subdivision ordinance.
Thank you.
any other questions before we move to comments? Okay, final comments? Alderman Galloway?
Yeah, I did drive up and down that street, and I was paying attention to different things. So I drove in from the west. I can't remember the intersection, but there's an apartment complex that I drove past before I got to the street that goes in front of the school. I had listened to the homeowner's argument over the factors, and essentially what he was putting out there was the history of development and just what's happened before. Is that it seems to be along that street. I think his argument was that it's going to be single family, and it had been all the way through. So I paid attention to that argument, and it is true. I went way down to that street. I wish I could remember the street, but if you followed that straight, it ultimately winds around and takes you to downtown. If you may have to turn left at some point. But I drove down it, and yeah, I mean it's all single family, right down the street. You don't really see any of the commercial, industrial, or multifamily from the street. and in that sense, is similar to my neighborhood in Springfield by Eugene Field, which was just surrounded by single-family homes. Not exactly parallel, but it was, there was also a busy street there in the form of Lone Pine, separated my street from the school. The other thing I noticed was that it's a hodgepodge of single family. So you have, as you drive down the street heading east, you'll see these houses with like car length front yards. They're small, but I think they've got walkouts because there's a floodplain down below, and some of them have really big yards in the back that go down there. But all of them are for a while are very, very small front yards. And then on the right side, you see some 3-bedroom homes as well. But then what's interesting about this area, you can just tell where we didn't, as a city, pay attention to zoning, was at first, you have these, on this thoroughfare, you have these homes with driveways that go straight into the street. That's not great. But you also will see like a big house with a big lot surrounded by small houses. So it looks like you kind of see this pattern before. So it's something that we're kind of considering, is that there's a house that is not on a small lot, and that these would necessarily come around. And I was just interested in whether that was in character with the area. And that is a juxtaposition, but you can see it. It's happened a couple times there, particularly on the south side. So it is what it is. It is a very unique area. The homes, for the most part, were 3-bedroom, but then you'll see a big 2-story. And then I mentioned those that line that are walkouts. And then there was one street I looked down that had kind of smaller 3-bedroom units, and they were all white siding and all black roofs. So they're all identical. It's really just a lot of mix. And I guess that's just how the area developed. And so I kind of took away a couple things. One is I do take the point of the homeowner that multifamily running linearly is not in keeping with the character of that street or that area. And there really does seem to be a big disconnect between that thoroughfare and then 14, which runs parallel to it, that takes you out to Sparta. It really does feel like it is a world apart from that. And there is some multifamily that runs along it and some commercial. So you do get this feeling that it's in character single family. That to me is important because under the comprehensive plan, which we are entitled to pay attention to, it's really our go-to reference. And that is something that I voted for. I think maybe Mr. Campbell did too. And that goes through a major input process. And I just have to think that somebody spent a lot more time and was more professional than me, that made recommendations that led to single family being something that was on the comprehensive plan for both lots. I know we're considering the one for single family. I don't think that we would be adding on single family for this parcel, we would be adding much in the way of intensive use. It's really not a lot of homes, and in some ways is a lot better than driveways that empty right out onto the thoroughfare. It is pretty much in keeping with everything that's along the lines there. People just kind of dug in streets and put it there. I do have a concern about the traffic study. I guess, the information that we're getting is we don't have the regulatory power to do much about that traffic study. I would just say that we have a very good working relationship with the school district. And I would really hope that there is some input from staff if this gets approved, that they are paying a lot of attention to what the school district is saying to them in this process. I don't know what else to say about it because it does concern me, and but the laws are the way they are. And the fact is it does call for a traffic study that can happen at any time and can be based on historic data. So my comments here is that this seems to be under this ordinance here for this particular lot to be appropriate. I don't think things will stick out like a sore thumb. And quite frankly, I did hear, this idea that it's in the outskirts of town. I guess that's technically true in the sense that you move pretty rapidly as you move to Sparta, from there to where it's pasture land. But this is a public school that is planted there, surrounded by single-family homes on the east, or on the west side and north and south of it. I think anybody buying land there pretty much understood that they were going to be buying right where some other homes were going to be right next to them. I don't see how you could travel through there and not think that there isn't going to be other homes around the school, and that they would be of similar character there. And so to me, I mean, it's a 5-minute drive from downtown there. I can travel, it takes me 10 minutes to get over to our furthest reaches on the north side of town and the subdivisions there. It's an awkward place to develop. It will never be a great place to develop. It won't look exactly quite like you think of a cookie cutter subdivision. But there is nothing there that is cookie cutter around there. It is all a juxtaposition. So I don't see any valid basis to vote against it. I do have, you can imagine what my thinking is about putting multifamily behind it, which we'll talk about, but I'm going to stick with the comprehensive plan unless I hear something different than I've heard before. But that's my comment. I just think this will fit in. It's not unexpected of anybody for this area to develop. And the final thing is, it is a South Side development, and we should encourage South Side development because those people will tend to shop here and spend their money here more than people who live on the north side. We have considered that as a factor for the board, although it's not necessarily something that we talk about in zoning issues when it's specifically before it. So those are my comments.
Okay. Anyone else comments? Yes, ma'am.
I live in a neighborhood that has the juxtaposition. It's called a neighborhood, and that's how they used to be built a long time ago. And that's how it was built for several years. And from a planning background, that often, I mean, planning is trendy, just as most things are. And, the little square streets with the corners, how towns used to be built, then that was no longer the fad, and it was all cul-de-sacs. And now they're finding that's not so great either. And in the neighborhood I live in, I lived in a little bitty house on a little bitty lot, and then moved to a bigger house on a much bigger lot, right next to each other. So that's a philosophical discussion for another time, most likely. But I just wanted to point out that there's not a good and a bad here, unless you take one position, which I favor one because of sociological impact as well. I mean, it's not just the streets that are impacted, it's how we grow as families and individuals. So, but like I said, for another time. I guess and we've also heard that as the town goes outward, it should naturally grow into those pasture lands with larger lots. And we've talked about having a city where there's housing for everyone, for every income, for every size family, for every desire. And I think we're doing pretty good. We've got, about a healthy number at the middle to high end of healthy number of rentals, apartments, multifamily, and we have smaller lots and denser housing. But I don't know the last time that an executive type housing development was built. And I've heard, I can't, several times within the last 6 weeks to 2 months, well, I can't find anything in Ozark. They have to buy in the county if they want to be, if they have the finances, the resources, and that's their desire. And I think that's something we need to look at as well, is as what we've heard from the planning department before, it should naturally go towards those pasture lands where there are bigger lots that are available to people who want that. That not everybody wants to be densely packed into a small subdivision. I live in a tight neighborhood. I love it. But that's me. There are some people who want the privacy on a bigger lot, and we don't have that within the city. So we discourage people who want to live in the city of Ozark, and perhaps they have more resources that they would spend here, and they would have ownership of the city. Another discussion as well. Except that my point is that we're already building in the south. What is that going to be like south between all the way from Apple Market all the way over to Walmart? And that's all going to come into houses. I thought I heard maybe up to 400 houses there. So that's not something that we're going to have to push as happening. That's going to happen. And so I hesitate to make this more densely zoned because of that reason. I think we need to have more options.
Okay. Anyone else from the board? No? Okay, I'm not seeing more, so it's time.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Bill number 3557 as ordinance number 24-042.
Second?
Okay, the motion is that we adopt Bill 3557 to become ordinance 24-042. The motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. Roll call, please.
Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf,
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson,
Nay.
Alderman Campbell,
It's a tough one for me. I'm going to say aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Nay.
We have 3 aye votes, 2 nays, motion carries.
Thank you. Now let's move on now to Bill
I'm
number.
sorry, I misspoke.
Oh,
The motion fails.
Oh,
It takes 4 to.
takes 4.
Yeah, regardless of how many people are sitting on the board.
Okay. Okay.
My bad. All
Oh, no,
right.
you're fine.
The
Okay,
correction.
Thank you for
Motion
the
fails.
correction. Thank you. Okay. Let's now move to Bill number 3558.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3558 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Okay. The motion is to place Bill number 3558 on second reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor and voting on the motion to discuss Bill number 3558, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property, approximately 6.63 acres in size, approximately 315 feet south of East Hartley Road and north of 2183 State Highway 14.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Director Cameron? Okay. Any comments from the board? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I hesitate to say anything just because I feel like I may be repetitive with the other hearing. It's just that this is a separate hearing. And I just wanted to make it clear why my vote as to this particular ordinance is going to be no. And that is because of the comprehensive plan. And I would need, it's not that I couldn't be persuaded to move away from the comprehensive plan with a ordinance request. It's that I didn't hear any reasons that persuaded me to move it from something that we've already spent quite a bit of resources to develop something that it's not a blueprint, but it is a guide. And I did pay attention to the other factors that were involved there as well, as I mentioned before. I don't think that multifamily is, the intensity of the multifamily use would be appropriate. I haven't heard the case to be made to change our planning, and for that reason, I'm going to vote no to that.
Yes, Alderman Campbell.
I'll also be voting no on this one. Well, just, I don't want to repeat what he just said, but he basically touched on everything that I thought.
Yes, sir. Any other comments from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Okay,
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Bill number 3558 as ordinance number 24-043.
no, it would be two,
Oh, it's still,
because the first one failed.
oh, the first one failed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, well, you're,
How about I make a motion, Your Honor, that we adopt Bill number 3558 as ordinance number 24042.
is there a second?
Second?
The motion is that we adopt bill number 3558 to become ordinance 24-042. The motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Galloway. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hutchinson?
Nay.
Alderman Campbell?
Nay.
Alderman Snyder?
Nay.
Alderman Metcalf?
Aye.
Alderman Galloway?
No.
We have one aye vote, 4 nays, motion fails.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we'll move on to reports, and we'll begin with our interim city administrator, Ben DeClare.
Yeah, Chris Russell couldn't be here tonight, but he wanted me to make sure that the board was invited. The local Fox affiliate morning show is going to be right here in Ozark on the square on Friday, the 21st, from 7 to 9 a.m. And Chris is trying to generate all sorts of interest and activity from not only the local businesses, but also prominent people in town. And he asked me that to ensure that I reached out to you members of the board and make it clear that you're more than welcome to come. They're going to be doing all sorts of segments on our local businesses, little interviews with people, and it just would be a really good thing to see a really positive turnout there. He's done a great job standing the chamber back up, and he and Maria have worked very closely to attract this to the square, and we think it's a great showcase piece for our community. So the 21st, anytime between 7 and 9 a.m., we hope to see you there.
And I understand we have the finance director, Mary Edna Wilson, has an update.
I just wanted to make the board aware that we did submit our ACFR, which is an annual comprehensive financial report, for consideration to the GFOA Certificate of Achievement, and we did receive that award. It's a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is for 2022, and it's the 4th time we've received that. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Very good. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could just brag on our finance department
Yes.
and Mary Edna a little bit, that is not an easy award to get. It takes a lot of staff time, takes working very closely with our auditors. And so you all should be very proud that that's our 4th consecutive year. And I'm sure going into the future, they're going to continue to get that. And it really is a very good positive thing for this community. It shows that you're well-run and that your books are clean.
Very good. Any comments from the board? Not seeing it at this time. I move it, go into closed session regarding personnel issue. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we go into closed session regarding personnel issue. The motion was made by Alderman Galloway, the second by Alderman Hutchison. Roll call, please.
Alderman Campbell?
Aye.
Alderman Galloway?
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson?
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf?
Aye.
Alderman Snyder?
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay.
Just take.
Didn't want that.
Where's Nate? Went rescue, perhaps.
Yes, we lost him for a second. We just going to adjourn. I mean, let's just adjourn.
We're waiting on Alderman Galloway.
I'm maintaining my
I think
professionalism.
somebody's going to have some discussion prior to adjourning. And he used to be a police officer. Somebody who used to be a police officer wants to discuss something prior to adjourning the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Okay, before we adjourn, any closing comments from anyone? Yes, sir.
I do. I've had questions about the recent storm activity with the storm shelter. Can you tell me if it was in fact open for use and how long before and during and after it remained open?
Admittedly, I couldn't tell you how long before or after. I mean, it would be difficult to say. You know, we open it based on announcements from the Weather Service. However, there are times where staff does anticipate based on forecast, and we open it. So that would be a bit of a variable time. To my knowledge, we've been open for every storm that's occurred that has generated a sufficient warning for us to open the shelter since the event where it wasn't open. But if you think that or have reason to believe that we were closed for one, please do let me know, and I'll make sure that Hayden and I look into it and report back.
I think Ben has a comment. You raised your hand. Because I've been seeing on Facebook that it's open.
We've regularly posted.
Yeah, so I'm part of the team that we're in a text group together. And every storm that has happened since this issue has arisen, Interim Director Ponsar has opened it before a watch has actually even went into place. And so it's been open every storm.
Gotcha. That's all I needed to know right there. There was some concern that it still wasn't available, and I wanted to make sure that was addressed.
No, it's been open, and then he lets us know, and Jacqueline and I, well, mostly Jacqueline has posted on the Ozark PD Facebook page. We can do a community alert, and so that goes out as well. Anytime that happens, and it's shared on the city page, so people should be able to see if they're on social media that it is open.
Okay, I greatly appreciate that.
The local alerts will go out even if you're not following the PD's page. So anybody who says that they live in Ozark, they will receive those alerts. Or if they follow them, they get a special alert from the phone that says PD's.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. And I have one more.
If you have heard of a certain date, though, please do let us know, and we'll be happy to
I'll
look
get
into
it.
it.
If I can get it, I'll definitely get it to you. I have concerns about it, and maybe it was just looked over and it was just someone that I didn't know.
Sure.
That's what I'm just trying to find out. So, the other thing I have, y'all might find this actually interesting, and I did too. I went to Washington D.C. last week. Okay, flew there on the honor flight. Well, we had a 98-year-old World War II veteran with us on board the aircraft. Fixing to be 99. He set me straight when he come off. He's going to be 99. Okay. When he come off, I shook his hand, thanked him for what he did, as I always do. But before we release everyone, we always recognize those that couldn't be with us or those that that have led the way for us. Well, I recognize this individual, and Mr. Pewitt, and he was just a ball of fire. But he got up and he commenced to saying some things that really got me. Some of the first words he said, I got this way because you have to be right with Christ. This is at 98 years old. This man was telling me this. And I know this may not be the particular arena people want to hear that, but I do want to tell you that because he continued to tell us what it took and what heroism actually was. We asked him if he would like to be pushed out in a wheelchair because he was tired. He looked at us and he says, you need to walk faster than me because I'm walking out. So I escorted that 98-year-old hero out front, and you talk about something that made a person feel good. I had him on my arm, and he was leading the way. And it goes to show you our greatest generation is still here, and they are why we get to sit around here at this bench and out there. And I'll leave you with that.
Very good. Okay. Yes, sir.
What he just said brought to mind that day after, well, let me back up. Thursday is 80th anniversary of D-Day.
June 6, 1944.
Yeah. So this gentleman, I hope, is around for his 100th birthday and farther, but I seriously doubt that he'll be around for the next decade celebration.
Well, he won't, and that just brings me to mind, June 6, 1944, it's D-Day. I lost my father 6 years ago on D-Day. He passed away. But Mr. Jack Hamlin, who is fixing to be 103 years old, the city of Springfield is recognizing Jack Hamlin Day, June 6th, this year, and it will be recognized in the city of Springfield. For 102 years old, he will talk to you just like we're talking here, and he'll eat catfish and drink beer. And that's the way he is at 102 with a broken shoulder.
A follow-up. So since you have this in, with the veterans and stuff like that, specifically World War II veterans, are there any D-Day well, maybe not even D-Day, not even taking part in the landing, but are there any World War II veterans that you know of in Ozark that Jacqueline could post something on our city website, city page?
That would be hard for me to get a hold of in such a short amount of time, but I do know we have some of these heroes still around here in Ozark. There is one that actually served on an aircraft carrier over in the Pacific. He frequents the VFW here, but I can tell you that they are here, but we're losing them every single day.
Yeah.
Maybe Jim Price.
Jim Price would be a good one
Price.
we could reach out to and get that. But I definitely think we need to recognize these guys and girls. 80 years, talk about your day at the beach. Omaha, Utah, Juneau, Sword, gold off the coast of Normandy. That's what it's all about.
So if nobody objects, I'm going to get Jim Price's cell phone number to Jacqueline and request that she put something on the Facebook page. Oh, she has it here, she said.
He probably has it too.
Yeah. Very good. We'll do that. Any other further comments? Okay, entertain that we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Okay, so motion to adjourn was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? Okay. We're adjourned.